Live better and longer with the Fitzness Show, hosted by fitness expert, author, and TV personality Fitz Kohler. She'll tell you why diets are dumb, supplements are snake oil, and the truth about how you can earn a lean, hard, pain-free, and athletic body. Now for our favorite bossy blonde, Fitz Kohler.
Well, hi, team. I'm Fitz Kohler, your incredibly bossy fitness expert from fitzness.com. And welcome to the Fitzness Show. Today, I have the guest of all guests, Rob Bailey, who is a PR mastermind. He's been in that field for 25 plus years, and he's done it all. He is not only the king of public relations, but communications, connections. He's a problem solver. He's so sweet, so fun, so thoughtful, so intelligent, just someone I really admire. I can't wait to fill you in on how we met, and he's going to tell that tale when I bring him on. But this is one of those shows where, not necessarily all consuming focus on health and fitness. And we do touch on that, but, fitness is about living better, living longer, and doing better and being better. And that intention branches out into all areas of my life and your life, right? Because when you're soaring in one side of your world, you should be elevating the other sides too. And so if you're a career person, if you own a business, or if you're just a person trying to make new friends or, improve your interpersonal skills, this is the show for you. I asked Rob, I said, please give me 10 bullets, 10 things you want people to know. And I did not put any guardrails on that. I just said 10 things, your soapbox, your things you're passionate about that you wish other people would know. And we've had a few of these episodes, and I think they've all turned out spectacularly. But yeah, Rob Bailey is one of the founding partners of Brandstand, the public relations firm. And he's good. I've worked with him for a long time, and he's someone not only that I've enjoyed the work we've done together, but he's someone I reach out to for advice because he's sweet and he'll always say yes, but he just knows so much. So I'm grateful he decided to dump all the contents, or at least many of the contents of his big brain, into ours. And this is a fun interview. Plan to listen to it and just enjoy it this time. And then what I'm encouraging you to do is play it again and take notes. If you do so, and then you follow some of these or all of these steps, everything's going to improve for you. Because I don't know, Rob's a smarty pants. I say that again and again, but he's a smarty pants. All right, folks, if you haven't done so already, make sure you click like and share on this episode. If you haven't left a review, please do. You can visit me at fitzness.com and Fitzness on Instagram. I have so many new fitness videos. If you're looking for great stretches and strength training and other fitness ideas, I am pouring them on for you this month. And let's get on with the show. Here he is, Rob Bailey. Rob Bailey of Brandstand. Welcome to the Fitzness Show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear all of the things that are in your very intelligent head, because over the years, I've grown to think you are total smarty pants.
Well, for those watching, listening at home, Fitz and I have known each other for over 2 decades, and I consider myself blessed to count her as one of my friends. And we've been through a lot together and explored a lot together. Maybe some of that will come out in the show today, but it's very kind of you to say, and the feeling is very mutual.
So do you mind sharing how we met?
Well, first of all, and this isn't how we met, but this is something that we both share. I went to the University of Florida, even though I live up in the Northeast. I am a snowbird. But when it came time to go to college, I wanted to go someplace warm. And back in those days, University of Florida wasn't quite what it is now. It was still a great school. It was always a great school, but now it's a juggernaut, right? It's one of the best schools in the country, continually amongst the best in every sport, both men's and women's. And so Fitz and I both share the Gainesville University of Florida background, but we met because I have done PR on and off with the Wiggles the kids' entertainment group for over 20 years. And Fitz was a fan. And we met back with the original Wiggles. She wanted to interview them, and we were drawn together by our love for kids' music and kids' edutainment. And we still are friends today.
So I remember quite clearly when I first reached out to interview the Wiggles, because I just thought, they sing about healthy things. They're a good match for kids, where so many other cartoons are singing about chocolate cupcakes and stuff. And I was working with one of the agents who worked for you, and set me up to go see them in Chicago for the first time. And then after that, that guy, I guess I don't know if he was fired or he quit, but whatever. He was no longer at your agency. And so you and I started talking, and then you were going to send me something, and you said, blah, 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 what's your address? And as soon as I revealed that, you went, you're in Gainesville? Are you a Gator? And I actually that's right. Rob's chomping if you can't see that. I speak to seniors at the University of Florida every semester, and try to impart wisdom via telling them about all my stupid mistakes, right? But one of the things I save for the end, and I always tell them, you are responsible for every other Gator you meet. Like our alumni basis is unique in that we actually do treat each other like family. And you're one of those great examples of, the second you found out I was a Gator, you were like, yes, I'm going to say yes to you every time, all the way. And I feel the same about you. And we're very fortunate to be a part of this Gator family, right?
Yes, but I will make clear that you have amazing energy, and I would have said yes to you anyway, because you improve everybody's life the minute you step into it. And it was very clear the first time I spoke to you, and I do remember who you were talking about that worked with me many years ago that brought us together, and he felt the same way. And the truth is, look, I've been following you for over 2 decades now, and it's incredible how many people you touch with your life and your light, and make their lives better. So, look, it's a mutual love society here today, everybody, as you could tell, but it comes from a true, honest place.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you, Rob. I really value our friendship. And like I said at the start, I value your smarts, because I know you have so much to share. And so sometimes we just talk fitness, and then sometimes I just, part of the fitness thing is do better, be better, live better and longer. And I know you have so many golden nuggets. So I've given Rob the assignment. Just give me 10 things he wants people to know, and we're going to go through it. So what's number one? What's the first thing you want people to know?
So I've mixed them up a little bit into life and into PR, but and for those of you, in case we didn't really get into it, I'm a public relations expert. I do brand building, marketing communications, public relations, media relations, publicist, spin doctor, whatever you want to call me. They're all accurate. And I've done this for, good Lord, for over 3 decades. I started as a sportscaster but got into this. And I would say the one thing I'd want to start off with, because I think it is relevant no matter what your background, what your interests are, who you are in life, and what you're doing at that moment. The greatest skill anybody can have is listening. And to me, it is number one. I meet people, in business and in my personal life, new people every day. And the fascinating thing for me is listening to them, getting to understand who they are, what they're all about, and then sharing our commonalities, right? And so many people you meet, they just want to talk. They want to tell you their life. They want to tell you things. They want to tell you what's great, what they feel, what they want to do. But pause. Listen, the minute you listen to somebody else first, you're going to have a more meaningful conversation. You're going to get so much more out of it. And in all likelihood, you're going to make a friend, if not a business colleague. So listening, to me, greatest skill that any human being could have, and implementing it whenever they can.
I double down on that. I think that's a brilliant pointer. I find it interesting how many times, Rob, that I'll be in a conversation with somebody and it's just them doing a monologue. They don't ever pause to even say, "How are you? How have you been?" Like anything. Isn't that fascinating? Why do you think that is? That some people never turn the microphone over to their pal or their.
It's a great question, right? Because and I'm going to sidestep your question for a second and give you some insight into why I feel this way. You can have more meaningful conversations when you go back and forth, right? And you can't go back and forth unless you're listening. Now, listen, you don't want to just be a fly on the wall and let somebody dominate. The minute you hear things where you have some shared commonality, that's your entree to jump in, and then you can create real meaningful relationships with people, because all of a sudden now you've got something that you share in common, whether it's an experience, a like, a love, a piece of music, a TV show that you watched, a place that you visited. You have some commonality, and common ground is where every great relationship starts. So why people don't do that? Sometimes I think it's insecurity. You feel like you want to get people to like you. So the only way to get them to like you is to tell you wonderful things that you feel about yourself that they should know. And the truth is that when you just talk, naturally people will come to like you. So, maybe put aside your insecurities and your desire to just be heard and hear, and then you can share a conversation.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Love it. Be a good listener. Number 2.
Buddha for a moment, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So number 2, and this one goes with listening, and this one is a fun one. So most people love to sing, right? We all love to sing, but many of us consider ourselves not particularly adept at it. And I have a philosophy on that. I think that everyone can sing. The problem is they just don't know how to listen. You have to be able to hear yourself, to adjust your pitch, to adjust your tonality, to put out the sound that is correct or right or is more pleasing. Every voice is capable, certainly you have different octave ranges, right? You have different capabilities of going, not many of us can sing like Ariana Grande. Right. But within a certain range, we could sing if you could just listen. So again, listening. You'd think I'm an audiologist, but I'm a big believer in that. So I find that one's interesting. When people say, "Oh, I can't sing," I always say, actually, you can. You can sing. You just need to learn to listen to yourself and then adjust, and you will sound better.
I I I love hearing that. My son, who's a performer, he's an actor, he will say, "Mom, anybody can sing. You just gotta get some lessons. You just," and like, boy, I like to sing, which is such a tragedy because I don't think my voice is, as you say, pleasing, but I
I
really
bet you
love.
it is. I bet you it is. If you just knew how to listen and adjust, it is. And obviously, like anything, it's a skill, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you
for
you
sure.
learn and you can grow at it. But I do believe, and you know what, Fitz, this is going to be your homework.
Okay.
Okay. You're going to work on a song, and at some point, you're going to send it to me. You're going to do, Rob, this is how I sounded to begin with. And then once I learned how to listen to my voice and adjust, this is what I sound with now. I'm going to be like, you're going on tour. You're
Okay.
going on tour. And that's one of the big things I do. I promote tours and different musical and sports acts when they travel around the country. I could be doing PR for the Fitz tour.
Oh my gosh, this is all very exciting. This is all exciting. Okay. Actually, what's so funny is I take now ballroom dancing lessons and guitar lessons, and I've been thinking I should take singing lessons just because Parker keeps telling me anybody can learn. I'm like, well, that would be nice. It would be so nice to be able to sing the anthem.
That's a tough song, right? It's a big octave jumps in it, a lot of variations within the musicality of the song. People that are music people at home are going to be like, "What are you talking about, Rob?"
Right.
Use some better terminology, but most people get what I'm talking about. It's
Yeah.
a tough song to sing.
Do you sing? I feel like you're a singer.
Well, I just told you everybody can sing. Yes, of course I can sing.
Do you sing publicly ever?
I do. I play guitar. I've sung publicly. You know what? I'll send you a video.
I would love that. That would make me so happy.
I actually, this is a funny story. So many years ago, one of the pieces of business that the agency I was working with, this was before I had my own agency at the time, was Branson, Missouri. Now, Branson is known as one of the entertainment capitals of the world, and we were pitching Branson to win their business. And I came up with an interesting idea. So, of course, you have to come up with your pitch and give them how you can brand them, create awareness and call to action for people to come and visit. But we took our pitch and I wrote it into a song. And that was our presentation to the people of Branson. And some of the members of the Osmond family were on there. I mean, there were some names, some actual entertainers that have been doing this for years. And I wrote a song about Branson, and that was the presentation. And they would say we got the business because we knew what we were doing, not because of the song, but it was a good song. And I ended up performing it in Branson in one of their theaters in front of about 5,000 people. So that was interesting.
That's epic. That is an iconic experience and a really good lesson for anybody else going after business is to be creative, right?
Got to think outside the box, right? I mean, certainly when you're in a creative field and trying to create touch points, reasons for people to care about your brand, you need to do it creatively. I mean, think about it. We just passed one of the cultural iconic events globally, the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
And aside from the game itself, and this year's game wasn't one of the best, albeit,
Right.
are the Super Bowl commercials. Everybody every year tunes in not only to watch the game, but to see who's got commercials that they're airing, but what their creativity is and how they're presenting the brands. And so creativity is everything, right?
Yeah, my favorite this year was the mustaches flying off the Pringles can.
Very cute, right? All right. So talk about outside of the box thinking. I mean, obviously that, you know, brand iconic logo has been, part of Pringles forever, but who thought to actually have the mustache jump off and engage in creative wanderings around the world? Very creative thought, very entertaining, and you remembered it afterwards.
Yeah, what was your favorite commercial this year?
Oh, wow, that's a good one. You know what? I think that actually that might have been my favorite as well. This was not a banner year. And for those in the advertising industry, I apologize. There were a lot of great ones,
Yeah.
but that was one of the ones that really stood out in my mind as well.
Yeah, so silly. That's what I'm really out for. I'm out for silly. I don't want to cry in the commercial. I mean, on occasion they get you, right? But anything that's silly, anything that makes me giggle, not only at the moment, but after the fact, I'll buy a can of Pringles on. That's a thank you for that.
Well, I'm an emotional mush pot. Okay. So, the dad of two boys, anything that has children in it or pets in it, if it's emotionally portrayed, you're probably getting a tear. And my boys make fun of me all the time. Like, Dad, are you crying again? I'm like,
Oh,
I'm sorry, I'm emotional. I can't help it. So how incredible is that with a 30-second piece of film, people can reach into your soul and grab you and elicit that kind of emotion.
yeah, it's incredible, incredible skills. The thing that gets me every time is the military. Just that's it, the military.
Right? I mean, we've got our things that reach into our past, our history, our commonalities, and man, that's incredible. And I'll use that as a jumping off point into one of my PR related tips, if you will, because we're in a new era of information consumption, right? I mean, never before have we had more platforms which to get information, and your target audience is bombarded with messages everywhere they turn. And you need to learn how to use that. So I would invite people, broaden your sources for information, right? Substack is great. Blogs, Vogs, podcasts like Fitness. Please tune in on a regular basis. It is amazing. Social media. I love YouTube shorts. Used to be once upon a time, you had to rely on newspapers, radio, and television. And now we have so many different platforms by which to get information and platforms with which to evoke emotion, evoke connections with brands. We just talked about, the Super Bowl, but trust me, those campaigns exist far beyond just what you saw on TV. They are in social media. They're events in real life. We have so many touch points. I encourage everybody out there, find as many different ways to connect with information, because we're lucky. We have, when I was younger and I wanted to do research for a
Let me
school
say it.
project or something like this, I had to go to the
It's
library and look at encyclopedias on a book.
encyclopedias.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't even know if kids today know what encyclopedias are,
I don't.
but that's how we got information. And look, it was old the minute it was printed. And
Right.
now information changes in a millisecond, a microsecond, right? And we can stay on top of that. So I find that very exciting. And, it's a great opportunity to, going back to listening, engaging in conversations.
Mhm.
Oh, I read about this or I heard about that. And we're so much more informed and enlightened today because of it.
Okay, so I got questions for you on that.
Sure.
If there's something, a major news event, it's a plane crash or a shooting or something, where specifically do you go for that information?
I'm old school, so I will still go to TV news
Okay.
because I like the visual in connection with the up to the second information, but I do it in conjunction with social media, because
Which,
you can get more real-time information via social media than sometimes you even can in TV. And I will say, and this is a bit of a pet peeve of mine. While I love TV, I feel TV news has become politicized.
yeah,
And instead of being the place where you go for news and information, it's news and information as they want you to see it, and through their point of view. So that's a bit of a disappointment. But if it's breaking news, like for instance, one of my biggest clients is Stars on Ice, and those the Olympic figure skaters that tour the U.S. and Canada every year, and we were absolutely thunderstruck with the plane crash that occurred outside DC. Many of the passengers on the plane were coming back from the U.S. Nationals, getting emotional even talking about it
yeah.
in Wichita, and I personally needed to be on top of that. So I was all over. CNN is one of my favorites. So yeah, definitely television, but social media, it's incredible.
Yeah, I agree with you. I go straight to Twitter or X. That's been, I remember when Congresswoman Gabby Gifford was shot and people were like, what's going on? And I just searched in Twitter and I got all the information I needed. And then there's a range. So you're not dealing with one outlet's point of view. You're getting all the people saying, this is what happened, this is where, and so forth. So, and we will be right back.
Do your hips, glutes, quads, and hamstrings need extra support while running? Of course they do. Both soothing and comfortable, compression tights by Leo Reve boost blood and lymphatic circulation while increasing muscle pliability, which helps prevent fatigue and injury. Made for men and women of all speeds. Check out the superior balanced compression tights made right here in America. Visit leoreve.com. That's LEOREVER.com.
We're back. Yeah. Okay. If you're going to go for entertainment news, what's your favorite outlet?
Well, let's see. I would say it's definitely social media. I have influencers that I follow. Look, I still love TMZ because, I grew up in the days where tabloid media was king. Here in New York, the Post and the Daily News. I mean, there's nothing better than a sensational headline. So TMZ delivers it with quite a bit of flair and often tremendous amount of accuracy. I know they are who they are, but they're still pretty doggone good.
And then if you like the gold standard in one of your clients, you're going to get them a feature on this one program or outlet. What specifically is that one place you would kill to have all your clients featured?
It's a tough one. I will answer it. I would say that my go-to play there's it's TV, all right? And it would either be one of the morning shows, or it would be I love what probably my favorite news program is CBS Sunday Morning News. And they do such a tremendous range from entertainment to news to culture, and they just do it so well. So that one is one that I definitely would love to get clients on. But it depends on what the story is. And it depends on who their target audience is and what the message you want to get across. I mean, trade media is fantastic. If you're talking, B2B, a business to business story, and sometimes, a trade publication is far more important than, a general consumer publication. But if you're looking to talk to consumers, there are different places too. So it really depends on what the story is and who the target audience is. But I definitely have some of my favorites. Getting on the morning shows, getting on, CBS Sunday Morning. Those are the kinds of things that give you goosebumps.
I like that. I like that. I'm sure some of our business owners that are listening are thinking, maybe how do I get on that? So, okay. So tip number 4, Rob Bailey.
You're talking about media, right? So if you are in the business, or you said, if I'm a company and I want to get out there, and maybe you're doing it yourself, maybe you have a publicist that's doing it for you, maybe you have a PR agency that you're working with, but familiarize yourself with journalists. So because we live in an age where it's so easy to connect with people like to throw spaghetti against the wall, and they try to pitch everybody at once with a single pitch. And I couldn't describe you and have a conversation about you, Fitz, to 100 different people the same way, right? Depending on their interest and who they are, I'd want to tailor the conversation what's best suited to their interests and their needs. What about Fitz? Are they most interested? What will resonate with them? So if you're talking to a journalist, the most important thing is I see you, I read you, I listen to you, I know what you cover. And this is why I think it's interesting to you. And, again, so many people just blanket pitch everybody, and it's rude. Like if somebody came to you and wanted to be on your show, but you could tell it was just a
Cut and paste.
one size fits all pitch, and they didn't really watch your show and they didn't get your show, you would turn a deaf ear, right? I mean, what's it take? So let me turn the question on you. What's it take to get somebody as a guest on your show? What intrigues you? What makes you say, all right, you know what? This person gets me. This person understands me. This person is pitching me somebody that I want on my show.
Yeah, well, you're right. It's a turnoff if somebody's like, I want to tell you about this great diet. And I think, you moron, we fast diets around here. Why would I ever have you? So that's annoying. Yeah, I mean, it has to be targeted to the things that my audience specifically want to hear about. And I don't know, they have to be exciting to me. So I receive pitches, as you can imagine, every day. And most of them I go, meh, meh, meh. I have to have a personal, I need that. I want to hear from that person. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely, there are turnoffs. And I guess it's topic and personality driven. I need a little bit of both since, unless we're doing something like this, there's a lot of science on the other side or athleticism. So I don't know. Did I answer your question? That was a pretty bad
Yes, you did. You actually made my point in spades. I mean, the truth is, it's somebody, and this is, you had asked me, what's one of your biggest tips? And I gave you this, and then I said, I'm going to change it to something else. But the thing I'd given you was listen, learn, then act, right? Listen to what it is you want to pitch or learn or understand or become part of, then learn about them, right? Learn about who this is, then act upon it. Because now you're acting with actionable information because you've taken the time to seek them out, hear what they're all about, learn why they do what they do and what's of interest to them, then you can act upon it. 3 simple things. Listen, learn, and act. And I think it's applicable, honestly, to any field. Sales, anything.
Yeah, probably medicine too. I want that.
Definitely medicine. How many times have you gone to a doctor And the doctors, it's like they've got this, question list of things that they're going to ask you, and they're not even really listening to you. They're just going to decide what's wrong with you, and then they're on to the next. I almost feel like the medical profession, to some degree, has become almost kind of like a conveyor belt. Next one and next one out, and I get it. Being a doctor is tough. You have constraints because of what insurances will pay and stuff like that. But you want to know you're being heard. You want to know somebody cares about you. That's the cornerstone of connection. And if your doctor can't connect with you, good Lord, how are you going to feel comfortable, right?
Well, it's so interesting. That's actually one of my favorite parts about my oncologist is whenever I go visit him, he says, okay, we talk about all this stuff. He has questions and he says, okay, Fitz, do you have any questions? I'll say, maybe I'll ask him. Okay, do you have any questions? He asks me at least 3 times every time if I have any questions. And then he'll start to wrap things up. But I definitely feel heard, and I'm in any profession. That's vital, right?
It's so important to not only listen to other people, but to feel that people care about listening to you. And for those of you at home that don't know what everything that Fitz went through, if you're a big fan of the show, you do know. For those that don't, Fitz is a cancer survivor. She is an amazing human being, and she chronicled every step of what she went through, which was so brave and honestly so enriching for other people that were going through the same thing. I mean, you put yourself out there to say, here's when I lost hair, here's what I couldn't eat, here's how I felt when I was trying to go to races and I couldn't even stand up, and yet I was there with the mic in front of all these people. Putting yourself out there is such an amazing thing. And it's actually on my next thing on my list. Put yourself out there, try new things, step out of your comfort zone. I don't know a person that stepped out of their comfort zone more than you did.
Yeah.
I mean, you were in the most uncomfortable situation, most uncomfortable time in your life, scary, the unknowns, and you did it. And everyone that was able to connect with you through that benefited from it.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Rob. Very, very sweet.
Well, I mean, it's true. And listen, my mom died of cancer when I was very young. I was 10 years old. She died of colon cancer. And that is one of the, if not the only, one of the few cancers that you should never die of, right? All you have to do is go out there, get a colonoscopy, get a doctor that cares for you. I went and saw a doctor when I was 28 years old. Went to a gastroenterologist, and I told him what was going on with my mom, and I said, "Look, I want to get a colonoscopy." And he said, "Well, the insurance company's just never going to approve that. You're 28 years old. I mean, you're in the prime of your health." I said, "I know, but there's a pre-existing condition in my family lineage." He did the colonoscopy. They found 3 polyps. I by the time the insurance industry would have allowed me to have a colonoscopy, I could have been dead. So the truth is, you put yourself out there and you find people that'll listen to you and care about you, and amazing things can happen.
That's brilliant advice. Brilliant advice. And I asked the guy, I volunteered for a colonoscopy a couple of years ago, which actually wasn't as bad as everybody said. I mean, none of it is, right? But I asked him, I said, what percentage of polyps turn into cancer? He said, as far as we know, 100% of them. So if you go and you have it and they see a polyp and they remove it, boom, they are removing future cancer for sure.
And they metastasize very slowly, right? So even if you went once every 3 to 5 years, you're going to be fine. But I so many people, I'm not going to do that. Like, I know mammographies are not comfortable.
But that's it. They don't hurt, Rob. They don't hurt.
They don't? Okay.
No, they're annoying at worst. They're not. There's no crying and saying, ouch. That's for sure.
Well, but people are afraid, and they think they are, or it's uncomfortable, or they don't want to talk about it. And being afraid in the long run could probably cost you a lot more than, just an uncomfortable moment.
Yeah. People need to be afraid of the long-term consequences if you don't act, whether it's, of course, disease, and then professionally, right? Because if you fail to pursue your dreams, your goals, your ambition, you look back one day with regret. Oh my gosh, nothing seems more painful to me. So Yeah, gotta act.
And to that point, I
Okay.
segue into to my next point. Find what you love and do it, because to your point, you don't want to ever look back in your life and have regrets, or I wish I had done this, or I wish I had tried that. You know, I I love what I do. I'm not going to be a millionaire doing what I do, but I don't care. I get up every morning and I look forward to doing what I do. I tell you, one of the first things I do, and you'll love this for fitness. All right, so I'm a big runner. I love running.
Love that.
And I've run for years, but as I've gotten older, running doesn't love me. And it's had its impact on my hips and my knees. So now I walk more. But as I'm doing it, it releases endorphins. I get some of my greatest ideas while I'm exercising. So, I mean, I love doing it. And my body said, well, you're not gonna be able to do it the way you used to love doing it anymore. I'm not going to be running, probably in any of your races anytime soon, Fitz, but, or maybe once in a while I could, but I still found a way to do it. So you find what you love, you find ways to do it. And what a better way to live your life than doing things that you love, and then things that you don't love. And then you find, oh, wait, that wasn't that bad.
I completely agree. But yeah, passion inevitably will make people great, don't you think?
Oh, 100%. Listen, you and I are passionate people. We passionately convey our love for the things that we enjoy. We're passionate about our gators. We're passionate about our professions. We're passionate about our friendship. I can't imagine a duller way to go through life than to not be passionate about something. Find that something you're passionate about and do it. I was talking last night to a figure skater who's one of the best figure skaters in the US right now. And I was just getting to know her a little bit. And she was telling me, I said, well, what's one thing that people would know about that you're just passionate about? And she used the word, hold on a second. What was it? It was, I think it was TCG, TMG. Hold on one second. It was, you know what it was? I'm going to get it wrong. So I'll just say she's into Pokemon and she's into all these things. And I was like, oh my God, that's so incredible. She's like, yeah, I love it. Everywhere I go, like if when, she's going to be on our Stars on Ice tour. And she's like, wherever I go, I'm going to find, stores that sell that stuff. Cause that's my passion. And I thought, well, that's great. She's like, I know I sound like a geek. I'm like, no, you don't. You sound like somebody that found something you love, and you get every chance you get, you go and enjoy it.
Well, what's so interesting is I think we're all a geek over some things, but there's a lot of just wisdom in what she's done. So I travel alone almost all the time. I'm with people at races, but maybe if a race is shorter and I don't have the whole all encompassing thing, I'm alone. And so my other passion is animals. And so a couple years ago, I just decided, okay, everywhere I go, I'm going to go to the zoo. I'd like to announce a race in every state. I'd like to go to a zoo in every state. So far, I think I've hit about 20 different states with the zoos. And it's just, that's her Pokemon. It's my zoo. And I'm pretty dorky there at the zoos. And that's just fine by me. It's
all right.
delightful.
So I love that. And I'm going to throw a question at you.
Okay.
All right. Because I love zoos as well. What is your favorite zoo, and what's the most memorable moment you've had at a zoo?
Well, so my favorite zoo is St. Louis Zoo. It's beautiful. And I have some stipulations. If you want to be a 5-star zoo, you have to have at least you have to have a grizzly bear or a polar bear or a cassowary, which is the world's most lethal bird. I'm obsessed with cassowaries. So they have grizzly and polar bears. I don't believe they have cassowary, but the St. Louis Zoo is fantastic. It's well organized. It's beautiful. It's got those bears. And then my most memorable experience at a zoo, and I consider an aquarium a zoo. It's, animal. It was this September. I went to the Georgia Aquarium in Atlanta and I swam with the whale sharks. And it was.
Is that something everybody can do, or is that something you had to do?
It costs you a few hundred dineros, and it is worth every penny. It's not only worth it, it's something I will go do it again. They set you up with, there's only 8 people allowed per day. They do it at the end of the day at maybe 4:00. They give everybody a wetsuit. They have hundreds, so they have a wetsuit to fit everybody of every size. They give you the snorkel, the mask, the whole thing. And then You get in this massive tank. It's about 200, it's 2 football fields worth of water. And there's 2 massive whale sharks. And they are sharks, not whales, but they don't eat big things. That their mouths are little long, wide slits. And they eat krill and shrimp. And then there's massive rays and thousands of other sea creatures in there. And that is by far and away the best experience I've ever had at this.
How do you interact with them? Do you like swim next to them, swim on? Because they're massive creatures, right?
They are. So I tell you how I wanted to. I wanted to swim down and hug it and kiss it. And if they wouldn't have threatened me, I would have done those things. But they make you wear a life vest, so you're stuck floating. And then they tell you if the sea creatures come to you and they touch you, that's okay. But if you reach out and touch them, we will remove you from the tank. So, but this is the thing is the whale sharks are so interested in the people that they come right up. I mean, they were 2 inches away from my body and I was arching so bad. Just if I could have gotten my boob, my boob onto one of those sharks, I'm like, oh, I touched it. So I could have touched, I could have groped, I could have petted and all those things. But yeah, I didn't actually get to touch. One of the whale sharks bumped into one of the other swimmers, which I thought I was very jealous. I'm not usually an envious person, but I was green and it was just magical. And they're beautiful. They look like they're hand painted. Their skin is breathtaking. So I highly recommend that. And right before that, I got to interact with a beluga whale and I got to kiss it. And that's number 2 or 3 on my zoo list.
Well, that's incredible. And I will tell you, because I'm a big believer in energy. And I think animals can sense energy and people. I was in the Dominican Republic a week or so ago and I went horseback riding, something I hadn't done in a long time. But before we went in, I went into the stables and was just walking by the horses and trying to interact with them and looking them in the eye if they wanted to. If they didn't, they turned. But animals can sense your energy. So clearly the whale was especially the beluga, if it allowed you to kiss, I mean, it could have swallowed you whole.
Right.
They sense energy and people sense energy, right? There are some people you just naturally, not physically attracted to. I'm just saying there's
drawn to.
Yeah, you're just drawn to people. It's that kind of energy. But animals, I know animals are big with that. I love animals. So I would love to do what you do. I've only been to maybe 3 or 4 zoos, but I enjoyed the experience very much. I've been to a couple of aquariums. I've never, ever swam. And that's, I'm going to seek that out. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. It's worth the trip. And yeah, Georgia Aquarium just in general is magnificent. It's certainly the only place in America you can swim with whale sharks. I think the only other place on earth is in China or something like that. So invest. You and your wife could totally go do that. That's an anniversary or something like that. An anniversary adventure.
I like it very much. She prefers shopping over swimming with whales, but I will bring it up. I will definitely bring it up.
Well, if she doesn't agree, then I'll join you. We could just
there you go. It's a date.
Cow time. Gators in the. And we will be right back.
Are you looking for the perfect gift for a loved one battling cancer? The Cancer Comeback series by Fitz Kohler offers hope, inspiration, and practical guidance. With Your Healthy Cancer Comeback, My Noisy Cancer Comeback, and The Healthy Cancer Comeback Journal. These books are a lifeline for all patients and survivors. Right now, you can order autographed copies at a special discount. Show your support and help a loved one go from sick to strong. Visit fitzness.com today. That's FITZNESS.com. Fitzness.com.
We're back. All right, Rob. So what's next on your list?
So this kind of fits nicely on what we're talking about, whether it's energy, it's connecting. To me, the biggest thing anybody can do, whether it be in business or in your social life, is networking on a regular basis. And I say this as somebody that is absolutely horrible at it. I've met so many wonderful people throughout my life, and you would think that I would take a moment to remain in touch with them. And it doesn't take a lot, right? With social media, it's very easy to do, but if you're going to network and you're going to stay in touch with people, do it in a genuine way, right? Don't be like when people have their birthday and it shows up on Facebook. If I know that person, I don't say happy birthday to them on Facebook. I will go in and I will send them a text. Let them know that I actually care. But networking is the single most important thing. And I am so in awe of people that do it well and do it every day.
I agree. And I also, can I tack on that? I think the cold calling, not the best way to do it. I think it's
No.
best to, like I get hit up on LinkedIn all the time and I feel bad. I don't even respond anymore. I just don't have the time to respond to 7 cold calls a day. Right. So, but real connections, I also think one of the most lovely ways to interact with people once you've met them. And if you're trying to build a career, put something in writing, put a pen on paper and put it in the mail. I think that's one of the most profound ways to connect with people because it's completely unexpected and archaic, right?
Well, I'll give you a little anecdote along that exact line. So my oldest son, who's 27, and he loves to travel. He travels with business and he goes all over the world. Every place he goes, he sends postcards.
Oh, who does he send them to?
He sends them to me. He sends them to his grandparents. He sends them to his friends. Here I was in this place, and he writes something, clever or sweet or anecdotal. I mean, but just a little snapshot in time from wherever he is, and he sends it to you. And listen, postcards, it could take weeks sometimes to get them, but I'm always so touched when I do, because it took time. To your point, don't just reach out to somebody, and especially don't make it about you, right? I mean, you make it about them. Or listen, I know that I see that you post about this a lot, and I saw this news story and thought of you. That's how people want to know that they're being thought of, not being used. And I love the fact that he did, to your point, the old fashioned write a letter, connect with people. That takes time. You got to go into a store, you got to buy postcards, and you got to give some thought as to what you want to write them. I love it.
That's very sweet. And how I can only imagine it must feel like a holiday when you go to your mailbox and there's a postcard from your son.
You know what? Yes, 100%. And then, so I love to put them up on my refrigerator. My wife is a professional organizer. So to her, a clean refrigerator is paramount. So, but she will allow me to put the postcards up there for a little bit. And then we have another place where we keep them in perpetuity.
That's hilarious. I'm learning so much. Okay. Next up on your list.
Oh, all right. Let's see. Oh, this one. So we talked about TV, and I love TV, and I love to watch. My wife and I have a lot of shows and stuff that we watch, but one of my passions is reading, and I love reading because it sparks the imagination. Right? It's not like TV and movies are almost kind of a lazy way to be entertained, because you just sit back and it all unfolds before you and you don't have to do a thing but watch it, right? But when you're reading, you have to think about it. You have to visualize what the people look like. You have to imagine the scenes, the scenarios, and everything. So I love reading because it's a great way to consume information, but it's also a great way to take your mind and bring it to another place, because you have to bring what you're reading to life.
Yeah, and what a all-consuming way to you can't text and read at the same time. It's a choice.
I
Do
suppose
one thing.
you have to pause one for the other, right?
Yeah. What is your favorite book, Rob?
Oh, wow. I don't know if I have a favorite book. I have a favorite author. I love Harlan Coben. I love that sort of, not, but, sort of cop driven, that I'm not explaining it well, but anybody that's a fan of Harlan Coben is, yes, I know, I love him too. He's great. He's got lots of shows on Netflix that these books have been turning. So I love those. I love to be entertained. But I, listen, being in the field that I'm in, I also love to read People magazine. I love to keep up with what's going on with celebrities. I love Rolling Stone because I love music. But yeah, I would say my favorite author is Harlan Coben, and I definitely like I like horror and I like those kind of like crime
Okay. Okay.
novels.
Fiction.
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 Yes.
Yeah.
You
I'm a
know.
non
Although I love history too. I was a history minor in college. So whenever I do go to places, I love to go to museums. So I would encourage anybody that goes down to New Orleans, I get you're going to want to go to Bourbon Street. Everybody wants to go to Bourbon Street. Go to the World War II Museum. It is one of the most incredible museums in the country. There are tremendous museums in almost every city you go to. Either it's just a snapshot of the culture or, periods in time there. Museums are incredible. Big history buff. So that would be the other thing. I do like to read a lot of history books too.
Okay. Books and museums. Smarty pants. That's what I said. That's the theme of the show.
Right.
Bailey.
Now imagine if you and I could go to a museum that allowed us to swim with whales. We would just accomplish so much.
We're going to have to make that happen. That's going to be this next weird venture. Let's do it. All right. What else we got?
And we'll get CBS Sunday Morning to do a piece on.
That's it. Oh, it probably is. Just get something kitschy and weird, right? Oh, you'll enjoy this. So this weekend I announced the Publix Gasparilla Distance Classic. And we have a lot of Floridians there, but then we have so many people, thousands of not Floridians. And so at some point during one of the races, I said, blah, blah, blah. I was telling him about the entertainment on our course, which was legit. And then I threw in, I said, at mile 7, we have an alligator petting arm. We have 7 alligators will be laid across the road. Just know that they want to cuddle. It's fine. Take your selfies.
Alligators that want to cuddle.
Yeah.
You're going to have to elaborate on that one, Fitz.
but yeah, they look like, are you being, really? They're there? Like, no alligators. I mean, there might be in the lake or the ocean, but yeah, no alligators. But people will fall for anything.
So they're not real alligators?
No, there are no alligators. I was just making nonsense.
Here, Rob, listen.
I was just lying.
Fitz is actually telling you, listen, all I heard was alligators and my mind just went.
Just lying to thousands of people. That's right. I figured it's better to do the lie with that the alligators are there and have them not be there than to have alligators on the course and not warn them. But yeah, I also threatened that there were big swarms of mosquitoes at mile 3 and nobody had to deal with that.
So I saw, and I can't remember where I saw it. It was just in the last couple of days. I should be able to remember, but I can't. But deal like this. So it was for a race. And in this race, they had people that were playing zombies. So all throughout the race, are you familiar with this?
Yeah, for sure. Zombie runs.
Where was it? Because I was fascinated by it, but apparently not enough that I remembered where it was.
Yeah, they actually have those all over the country. Usually the shorter distance races, maybe 5Ks. And so you dress up either as a zombie or as a real person. And some people are chasing you and the other people are the victims. It's very funny. The running community is so lovely because, of course, some people are very serious and focused on speed. And then the rest of us are just like, we're going to exercise. We're going to be together. We're going to dress silly and have some fun. And zombie run. You would love a zombie run. And you don't ever have to run at a race. You could always walk.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So back when I did like to run, I always liked running by myself. I always felt constricted if people were around, and I liked listening to music. Are you allowed to listen to music when you are running in a race? Is that allowed?
So some races, yes. Some races, no. If you're trying to win a race, it isn't advised because that's one of those rules where you could be disqualified for having music on. But for a middle to the back of the packer where you're actually not trying to take home some bling, there's rarely someone going to be like, get off of our course, you've got an earbud in. But it's advised to wear only one earbud. Okay. So then you can listen for your surrounding us on the other side, or one of the joint conduction headphones. So they rest right underneath or right at where your jaw bone is, like where both your teeth hit, and you can hear straight through your jaw quality music. So yeah, if you're going to try to win a race, I would not recommend it. But
is it a safety thing?
Yeah, there's just some rules for the fast folks. It might, maybe, I don't know why they won't let the fast folks listen to music, but they won't. But if I show up to a race and I listen to music, nobody cares. And they probably don't care if you listen to music too. I just do it. The safest way to do it is one headphone in. And then my thoughts are always part of the race experience is hearing all the crowds or hearing the other people and stuff. So you don't want to, mute all of that.
Right. You'd miss out on that. Well, I know one of the things that you had asked me was to give you two or a song that I exercise to. And
You got to wait though. You got to wait to the end though. That has to be at the end.
Oh, I won't mention it now,
Okay.
but I will say something else. I have a huge, extensive playlist that I've created for running because to me, and that's why I asked about music. Music is such a great motivator when you're running, right? Like I said, I get a lot of ideas, so sometimes I can just mute it. I can pause it. Oh my God, I just came up with the next great idea. But if I'm like something, you have those days you get out there and know you have to exercise, you need to, but you just do not, you want to be anyplace else. Music is to me one of the greatest motivators to get out there and do that. So that's why I wondered, like, maybe that would cheat. Like if you're listening to a great song, maybe it would help you.
It does. It's proven. There have been studies that prove certain music will benefit certain workouts. So yes, you were spot on, accurate, dead accurate. And I agree. I love music. I love it. I love podcasts, but when I go to do strength training or running, it's straight to my boom, boom, boom podcast or music list that keeps me going.
So I have a question for you. So, and I think I mentioned up front that I was a sportscaster. That's what I did before I got into PR. So one of the first jobs I had was as a production assistant for WFLA in Tampa, the NBC affiliate there. And I remember Dick Crippen, who was the sports director at the time, is a legend. He's not there anymore, but I remember going to spring training. Have you ever been to any of the spring training sites in Florida? And,
I have not.
You have not?
No, I've actually, that's a lie. I think I've been with an international soccer team at Disney. I think I can't even remember who it was. It was Kaká. Was it Kaká? He played for Argentina, I think. But other than that, none of the real spring training camps. Tell me about them.
Well, I mean, it's just, it's at the beginning of the season. It's light. It's fun. It's very good. You have access to players because we've all been to professional stadiums, right? I mean, they're coliseums, and you go there, and it's very, very unlikely that you're going to be able to interact with the players. Maybe before the game, they might come and sign something. Baseball is obviously a little bit more laid back than some of the other sports, but spring training was so nice because, I mean, now they're starting to build big stadiums for
Right.
spring training. But, in general, in the past, you just walk right up and you're like, a chain link fence away from the biggest stars. So it's very cool.
Well, it sounds fun. That sounds like something I could consider doing. That's for sure. We go.
Maybe you should have a race that goes from like one spring training site to the other, because a lot of them are close by, and then you could race, watch a little bit of a game, go on. I mean, I don't know how much of a race that would be. That might be more of an interactive experience, but could be something new. You're creating running themed experiences on a regular basis.
Well, I got to tell you, I don't actually create any running. I just make happy stories. I don't know, like somebody else. But all I'm thinking about, honestly, I could get some talented baseball man on my podcast, which could be fun. And then I enjoy the baseball men in the tight pants. So I could just sit around and be a fan, which is a tacky response, but it's the truth. There's other things. All right, Rob, next tip. Let's see.
Going back to business, this has to do with networking and relationships, but I feel like keeping a client is so much easier than getting new ones. Obviously, you always need to keep the pipeline filled, but I've had my own agency, good Lord, now for 24 years. And that's not easy to do, right? It's, a lot of people say, I want to go out on my own. I want to start something, and it's brave and it's rewarding, but it's hard to keep it going. Right. And a big part of that is new business. But the key thing is maintaining and keeping the relationships. Like I said, I had worked with the Wiggles for over 20 years. I've worked with Stars and Ice for over 2 decades. You build these relationships, and these people don't just become clients, they become your friends. And it's a very rewarding way. So, I would, all those, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people with small businesses, treat your clients well because they're your lifeblood, and it's far easier to maintain a client than it is to get a new one.
I completely agree. Yeah. Yeah. Same thing for my business as well as me maintaining good relationships and doing my best, right? Always doing my best to please people. So I get to
Yeah, you
keep
can get people come back and be on the show again. How many repeat interviewees have you had back on the show? Is there much of a, is it mostly just always new, or do you get some people that come back with any sort of regularity? And it sounds like I'm pumping for an opportunity to come back again in the future,
well,
but
well, the answer would be yes, please come back again. I I think I probably had 10 people reappear on my show.
and what was the reason you had them come back? Was it that they were doing something new, or they were just such an engaging guest? What makes somebody a repeat visitor, a repeat guest?
Well, I'll start with the person who's been on my show the most is my announcing partner, Rudy Novotny.
Right.
He's my announcing partner, and he's got a big voice and big personality. Everybody loves him. He's a great guest. People want to listen to the show if he's on, and the content's spectacular. And he pretty much does what I tell him to do.
A well-behaved guest.
Hey, Rudy, would you like to be on the show? He's like, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, Rudy, you're going to be on the show. So that my daughter Ginger, she's now a sexpert, and she is
I've been seeing that. I've been seeing the posts and stuff like that. How does a mother feel about her daughter becoming a sexpert? Because that seems like you're very proud of that.
I am. You know what? She has a passion, and she's garnered so much information. Now, mind you, she's a kid who did not go to her own sex ed in 5th grade because she didn't want to. She didn't want to hear anything of it. And then there was a statistic she learned in high school that it's at most American high school students have, it's like 15 hours of fire drills every year at school, yet only 5 students are burned in America every year. Yet most high school students have 0 sex ed, and there are millions of STDs, assaults, rapes, unwanted pregnancies, et cetera. And so she thought, well, that doesn't make any sense. This is just her. She was in a fancy research program in high school. And so she kind of pursued that information. And then she thought, wow, people really aren't getting necessary information about their own health and sexual wellness and stuff. So yeah, she chose it as a necessary field. She does not want to work with children. She does not, because
Good,
especially
because sex and children do not go together.
right, right. And at some point they need to learn, but she didn't want to deal with the parents, right? So right now she's
Yeah.
mostly amongst her peers. She had 6 presentations at UF this week, paid for. She's a killer speaker. And yeah, and she wanted to do this before she even had her own first kiss. So I think some people might be uncomfortable, like, my kid's a skanky kid or whatever. Ginger is not. She is anything but. And she's just smart, and she has this personality that allows her to make this very uncomfortable conversation or uncomfortable topic very comfortable for the masses. So I support her fully, and she's been on my show. And these are the rules, Rob, though. I say, okay, we can talk about sex. Do not talk about your sex life. I will not talk about my sex life.
Right.
And that's kind of like where we find a comfortable space. But she said we both have the same silly personality. So I do have to take a deep breath sometimes while she's talking. And a lot of listeners, they reach out and they say, oh my God, I can't believe you can have those conversations with your kid. And sometimes they challenge me, but
But you know what? That's actually kind of interesting. And because how many times in our life and in society do we shy away from discussing things that are important because they're a little bit uncomfortable?
right.
Right? We tend to be a little puritanical as a society here in the US, and you go to other countries around the world, they don't share that. They're willing to have these kind of discussions, and to your point, they're better off because of it. There's probably less incidents of sexually transmitted disease. There's probably less incidences of, sexual molestation. There's probably less incidences of, people doing something that they're not comfortable doing because they discussed it. So I applaud that. I think there should be more of that in the US and more of that with parents. We always were like that with our boys. We discussed everything. We till to this day, when they come over, we just sit around and talk for hours. So I applaud that. And I think that because she is doing that, she's creating an environment where people can not be uncomfortable and realize this is an important subject to discuss.
Yeah, I mean, we all exist because of sex. It's something that most grown-ups are gonna have, and
How many
hopefully
of us were born in a test tube, right?
that's right, that's right. So, anyways, very proud of her. So thank you, thank you. All right, what's how many tips have we gone through, Rob?
Oh my God. I would think most of them, let's see. Okay, this fits along the same lines what we're talking about, comfort and meeting people. Be open to everyone you meet, as you never know what each encounter will bring. So how many times have you walked into a situation where you're meeting somebody with a preconceived notion? Either somebody has told you something about them, or you judge them by the clothes they're wearing, or the way they talk, or the way they conduct themselves, and immediately you've put up a barrier. You're not allowing yourself to be open to who they are as a person and what they might be able to bring you as an encounter, because you've got this preconceived notion of this is what they're all about. Well, you don't know what they're all about. You haven't talked to them yet. You're making a judgment. So to me, be open to everyone. And it's a hard thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes, you're just not in the mood. You're just, you've had a bad day. But if you can step outside of that and just be open to people and open to encounters, wow, what a magical, magical world we live in, filled with so many wonderful people. Dive in
Yeah,
like a tank full of whales.
like a tank full of whales. I love it. I love it. And I think we on 10? Are we on number 10? I've been trying to keep tallies
Oh,
here.
I think we surpassed 10. You gave me a little leeway. Maybe it was 10 plus 1,
Mm.
but we have definitely surpassed the 10.
Okay, well, before we go on to the final questions, I got to ask, will you come back?
Oh, anytime, Fitz. Listen, I love talking to you. And for those of you, again, listening at home, you need to understand that when Fitz and I do get on the phone and talk to each other, and it doesn't happen as much as either one of us would like, we actually just talk for a long time, and we just,
Yeah.
share things. So this is, hopefully it's been entertaining for everybody, but I know it's been very entertaining for me, and I always love
Mm.
any opportunity I get to talk with you.
Yeah, that's the same. I mean, you're so smart and charismatic and you just know your stuff. And I enjoy you thoroughly. I have zero doubts my audience not only has enjoyed the conversation, but has learned things to make them better. And they're high achievers, of all different varieties, but they want to do better, and so when you have the opportunity to get an actual expert, a successful person with a great head on their shoulders and just learn from all the decades of experience and the people you've met and the things that you've done. It's just a way to it's an injection, right? It's an injection of knowledge and inspiration. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Okay. Your communication tip.
All right. So I think I've already given it.
Okay.
But I do have one more. Find your true, authentic story and share it. We all have our true self, our true being, our true essence of our company, our true essence of our products. Find what that essence is and share it. Authenticity goes a long way. When you're talking to somebody that's just blowing smoke at you. When you're watching or reading something that's designed to drag you in. But when it's real, when it's authentic, then you can feel it. Then you can engage with it, and then you can decide if you truly like it. So, I know Fitz is one of the most authentic people I've ever met. I try to be as authentic as I can be, and I'm 100% attracted to people, companies, and brands that do the same thing.
It's something that has started crossing my mind, Rob, Mr. Brand Stand, is that I've been confronted with opportunities, I'll just say recently. And in my mind, I'll think it's just not on brand, and it's not that I'm thinking about my brand. I'm thinking about who I am. That doesn't mesh with me, who I am. So knowing who I am and knowing what my brand stands for allows me to say no when I need to. And no is often very hard for people. But yeah, you should know what your brand is, whether you own the company or you're a employee. This is the person you are, or the personal person. What are we saying? Personal relationships. But yeah, know who you are, and then you can lean into the things that are reflective of who you are, and then it's an easy decision to step away from things that don't match.
100%. And listen to, just hone in on what you said about, do I have my own personal brand? You do. You Fitz as a person is a brand. Now, we tend to think of brands as a commercial thing, but
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
All brand is a representation of an idea, of an ideal, of a person, of a thing. It's just a representation of it. And you want to represent yourself authentically. So you are a brand and you put yourself out there every day as that brand. And we all do. Right? We're judged by it. We're hired and fired by it. We're engaged. We're loved. We're hated, all because of the brand that we are. And listen, if it's your true brand, then you can accept whatever the judgment that comes down the pipe.
That's right.
Because, I am who I am. You know what? If you don't like me, that's fine. That's okay.
Yeah.
But I like myself, and I'm authentic to who I am, and I can live with that.
Yeah. Isn't that a special thing to be able to just dig in and say, okay, love it or hate it, it's me.
Yeah.
Okay. And then our final tidbit you're going to give, and I know it's going to be a good one, song of the show.
All right. So you asked me a song that I work out to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if it was just any song, I would tell you my favorite artist is Jackson Browne. I love Jackson Browne. I know every word to every song he's ever done, and nothing is a better soundtrack to my life than Jackson Browne in so many ways. But there aren't too many Jackson Browne songs that are so upbeat that I'd want to work out with them. There's a handful of them, but there's not a lot of them. Like if you looked at that massive playlist I have, my running playlist,
Yeah.
there aren't a lot of Jackson Browne songs.
No, he's not there.
But two that I really love. Well, I'll start with the second one first because it's now, Tom Petty, who actually lived part of his life in Gainesville. For those of you that are outside of University of Florida and don't know that, when I went to school there, I had friends that lived, we called it Petty's Past Pat. It was a house up on the hill, and that's where Tom Petty lived with his bandmates at one point. It was a cool party pad, and we had a lot of fun there. But I love the song Running Down a Dream. It's just got so much energy, and it's a great song to work out and to run to. But one of my all-time favorites, and it is a one-hit wonder by a band called Katrina and the Waves, and it is Walking on
Sunshine.
Oh, love that song. If you listen to Walking on Sunshine and you aren't bopping and moving, there's something wrong with you, because this song, it just puts you in motion.
You know what's so great is many years ago, decades ago, someone told me, they said, you should pick a theme song. I said, what? They said, the theme song of your life. If you have a show on your life, what is that theme song? It's Walking on Sunshine. That is my theme song. It's been with me forever. And it just, you're right.
It matches your personality because you literally walk on sunshine.
Yeah.
So I can see it.
Unfortunate. What a great choice. Two excellent choices. All right. So we want people to run for those songs and give them one other exercise suggestion. What should they be doing while listening to Running Down a Dream and Walking on Sunshine?
Yeah. If you're not running and you're not walking, what's another type of exercise that I engage in? I like HIIT, high intensity interval training. I'm a big believer in that. You get your heart rate racing for a minute, then it comes down for 20 seconds. I mean, there's different. There's another one. Somebody just told me, was it Tabata?
Tabata.
Tabata, Tabata. Yeah, so that one I need to learn, but I do love HIIT, and good music honestly can just get you in the spirit, get you in the moment, and can really infuse your way into a great workout. Good sweats.
Rob Bailey, I adore you. Thank you so much for being on my show.
It was my pleasure.
You are a saint. Okay, you have one more assignment, and you have to look at the camera and with gusto tell everybody to get to work.
Please listen to me. If you've in your life heard something, listen, responded, and acted upon it, please do it now. Get to work, people!
And go Gators! Thank you. Magic. Thank you, Rob. I have to run to the stupid mechanics right now, but that was at 10.
You're going to be running late. I thought you need to be there at 5, right?
Well, it's just downtown, so I got to hustle, but that's okay. That was a 10 out of 10 out of 10. I love you so much. As soon as this is published, I'll share it with you, okay?
You're the best, Fitzy. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, this is Rudy Novotny, the voice of America's Marathons. We all love how much running has benefited every aspect of our lives, so much so that most of us only wish we'd started sooner. Wouldn't it be wonderful to gift the opportunity to children of today? Well, you can. The Morning Mile is a before-school walking and running program that gives children the chance to start each day in an active way while enjoying fun, music, and friends. That's every child, every day. It's also supported by a wonderful system of rewards, which keeps students highly motivated and frequently congratulated. Created by our favorite fitness expert, Fitz Kohler, Morning Milers across the country have run over 2 million miles and are having greater success with academics, behavior, and sports because of it. The Morning Mile is free to the child, free to the school, and is inexpensively funded by businesses or generous individuals. Help more kids get moving in the morning by visiting morningmile.com. Champion the program at your favorite school or find out more about sponsorship opportunities. That's morningmile.com. Long may you run.